This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Through dark Kenyan nights and brighter golden sunrises, we followed the story of the Great Migration, and this, the grand finale, promises to be equally spectacular. This is Safari Live.
The Masai Mara dawn is breaking. Welcome to this live celebration of the 2017 wildebeest migration. My name is James Hendry, and together we find ourselves in slightly celebratory and also slightly reflective mood. Now, for the next 2 hours, we are going to review the performances of the main players of nature's greatest drama: the wildebeest, the zebra, the lions, the cheetahs, and the hyenas. Now, if you listen very carefully, you might just be able to hear the retreating echoing across the plains, the red oatgrass waving goodbye. The smell, half goat and half cattle, is dissipating on the northeast wind and being replaced by the smell of the Mara dry season. For me, a quintessential smell of Africa: dusty grass. Now, the migration control where we find ourselves now is the gallery view of the stage below. 4 weeks ago when we left you, it was 58 degrees down there and pitch black. Now, the sun's moved slightly south since then. It's a bit warmer, about 61 degrees on the Mara floor, and a dim, pale dawnlight is shining on the faces of our intrepid heroes, Scott, Brent, and Jamie. Now, we've seen hunting, we've seen crossing, we've seen herds during the course of the migration, but for me, one of the most interesting things has been talking to you. So please continue to talk to us using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, and the first thing you can tell me today is what you expect from our migration celebration. And now, for the last time in 2017, let's have a look at where our magical piece of East Africa is. We're zooming into the southwestern parts of Kenya there, to a wilderness of almost unfathomable abundance and diversity. This is the 370,000-acre Masai Mara. Now, you've just met Jamie Patterson. She is fast becoming the Lion Lady of Africa. Let's head back to her and the Sausage Tree Pride.
A very special pride indeed, and good morning to all of you, and welcome to this, the finale of what has been an incredible migration experience. My name is Jamie, and this morning Dave is on camera with me once again, and we are watching the Sausage Tree Pride. We've been with them throughout the past 2 nights and followed their spectacular story. Now, for those of you that watched the finale or watched the last episode of our migration special a month ago, you will remember that we ended up at exactly the same point that we are now, watching across the plains of Kenya from the Olololo escarpment with the Sausage Tree Pride. 2 females and 4 little cubs. And now, a month later, things could not be more different if they tried. When we last saw the Sausage Tree Pride, this area was teeming with wildebeest and zebra. And now, the wildebeest and zebra have disappeared. They have left the Northern Triangle completely. And it brings us to our first question of the morning. Erin, good morning. You want to know what the lionesses do with the cubs when they hunt. The truth is, the lionesses, if the cubs are young, they have to leave them hidden somewhere safe and hope that the cubs are there when they return. And the cubs' instinct is to stay exactly where they've been left. But once the cubs reach a certain age, around about 4 or 5 months old, as these cubs have, they will actually accompany the adults and then stand just a little way back whenever the lionesses start to stalk. Now, if you would like your question answered in the same way that Erin has, remember, that is the most important part of this live safari. You can send that through on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Now, as we wrap up the movement of the herds and the story of the predators, it's important in our story for you to know exactly where we are, but fortunately, James can explain it.
That is very fortunate that I can explain, I suppose. I hope I can explain it. Here is the 370,000-acre Masai Mara. Well, not really. It's actually a representation in the form of a map. But we have Jamie over here, situated just below the Olololo escarpment. I'm sitting about 1,000 feet above her on a rocky prominence here next to Agama Mara camp. We've got Scott over here. I'll tell you about Brent just now. So here is Scott. He is with the remnants of the herd. Most of them have moved down south into the Serengeti of Tanzania, but there are some remnants around Scott and the 3 cheetah that he is with. He'll introduce you to them later. Now, Brent Leo Smith, all shookered up to the max, is sitting in this area here, probably a little further north than that, with the 2 cheetah sisters. Now, they had a slightly amusing incident last night. The wilderness is full of drama. The spotted hyena, a terrifying creature, and also a, clown. The hyena exit stage right with nothing, more than a grazed face.
Well, there we go. That was definitely, actually, 100% the funniest moment that I've had in the Mara. Craig, myself, and Benson, our ranger, were absolutely cackling when that hyena careered into the termite mound. Now, of course, the girls didn't have it all their way later in the night. The hyenas actually harassed them for a really long time. But they've managed to slink away from the hyenas, and they're now on the hunt. Good morning to the magnificent Masai Mara. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have Craig on camera, and we cannot wait to experience the dawn, the hunting cheetah, because I'm almost certain they're going to hunt. We're heading towards an area that's full of Thompson's gazelle, impala, Grant's gazelle. But it's not all sunshine for the cheetah as they head into that area. It is also the home, quite often, of the Bilashaka boys, the 6 male lions that patrol this area. So if they do happen to make a kill, it could be lost. But here we go. We're going to show you some of the absolutely incredible technology we've been using to follow these animals at night. We're on the FLIR thermal camera. You can see there's a herd. It's a bit difficult to see what they are in the distance just yet. I think they're probably zebra from the size. Now, Mia in Illinois is wondering, do any of the predators follow the migration in its entirety, so become nomadic with that bountiful prey? Unfortunately for them, not. Mia, they have very set territories, and if they had to wander through to another territory, they would encounter more lions, more cheetah. There are some young nomadic lions that will follow it for sections of it, but they won't follow all the way. Now we're back in our infrared technology, and soon it'll be light enough for us to show you the glorious dawn. Now, if you're wondering how Mia managed to get that question through, use the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter. We would love to hear from you. It's going to be an absolutely splendid morning, and I can't wait to share it with all of you. Now, of course, we've had lots of fun in under the cover of dark, and many of my favorite times have been in the darkness. Some laughs, some trying times, but let's show you a little bit about what happens after dark in the Mara.
Humans are not nocturnal creatures by nature, but in order to discover the secrets of the migration, we've had to spend an inordinate amount of time in the darkness. Sometimes it's been exhausting, sometimes it's been a little dangerous. It's always been fascinating. Have a look.
Over the course of the migration season, an array of technical wizardry allowed us to bring viewers the wild live. Many long nights were spent tracking the herds. The crew grew comfortable with their surroundings. Sophisticated low-light cameras unveil moon and starlit landscape to viewers in color, while thermal imaging reveals the secrets of the Mara night through heat signatures. And specialized infrared light cameras allowed us to watch prey and predator undisturbed. And to film some astonishing and unexpected pre-dawn hunting action. Safari Live allows the world to see the wonder of nature live, both day and night.
Hello everyone, my name is Scott Dyson and I'm teamed up with Jean-Andre on camera. It's a great pleasure to welcome you on board our vehicle on this migration finale spectacular. Now it's just lightening up as you can see, so we are going to show you what it kind of looks like. You see we've got the infrared lights on now. These are two cheetah brothers. Their mother's just off to the right of them, and we're going to switch over to color shortly, and we're going to do that up on the horizon in the direction of where the sun is about to rise, and you will see as soon as Jean-Andre flicks over into color, there will be a beautiful, beautiful hue. Look at that pink hue. Wonderful stuff, and it is going to be a breathtaking morning here in the Mara. There's a herd of wildebeest. Dotted in amongst them are a few zebra, and I think it's fair to say that these are the lazier portion of the migrating herds, most of which have already headed south into Tanzania, but thankfully we are quite fortunate to have a few members of these herds still in. Oh, look at that guy jumping for joy. Awesome. So there are quite a lot of prey items around, probably a little bit too big for these cheetah, but who knows what will happen. Anything can happen on these live safaris, and if it's the first time joining, be ready for anything. Beth, you would like to know when these two brothers will in all likelihood leave their mother to start a life of their own, and it's imminent. It could be within the next month, 2 months or 3 months. There's no set rule, but they certainly are of the age where they could go at any moment. They still have a little bit to learn though. We saw them trying to do some kind of playful, inquisitive hunting just a couple of days ago, and I've yet to see them actually catch something, so who knows how long exactly it will take, but we will certainly be following their movements as and when they do move off. Speaking of moving off, you guys are going to be heading back to Jamie with the lion.
Our lions are being utterly adorable, and we are so incredibly lucky to be able to be the only people out here observing scenes like this throughout the night and first thing in the morning. And as the dawn breaks, oops, speed wobble. Did you fall down, little one? As the dawn breaks, we are very fortunate to be able to observe a playtime for the sausage tree cubs. And remember, you're watching all of this unfold live. As Scott says, he's waiting for his cheetah to go and find some breakfast. We're waiting for our lions to do the same thing, and the cubs are as well. Oh, but while they wait, they might as well practice the skills they're going to need as they grow up. Lots of stalking, lots of playtime. And I think I'll take this opportunity to introduce you to a very special little girl, if we in fact can see her, because she's just moved. There's one little lion cub. There she is over there. She is the palest lion I have ever seen that isn't a white lion, that isn't a leucistic lion. She is exceptionally pale, and she's become quite the character in my eyes, and I think she is probably my favorite moment of the migration, getting to know this little girl. With her oversized paws and her oversized ears, she has been such a revelation. And of course, I think one of the big reasons is because she's just so much lighter than the others. It makes her very distinctive. But she's also so full of spirit. She's the smallest of the group, the youngest cub, and a little female. Her brother is a male, obviously. So therefore, she is the tiniest. And we have a lovely question while we chat about the cubs' lives from Andreen. Now, Andreen, you're wondering if anything atypical happened during this migration. Andreen, for the sausages, something atypical did happen, in that the migration left the triangle, which is where we are, Scott and Brent, of course, on the other side of the river, but the migration left the triangle far earlier than it normally does. We think it's because the rains were just so good in Tanzania that it sent the wildebeest scurrying back in that direction. Of course, while we watch them play, because this is live, sometimes they disappear behind mounds of earth or into drainage ditches where there's lots of water that flows through. That's half the fun, because it creates the entertainment that we all enjoy. And speaking of entertainment, of course, it is time for Brent's cheetah ladies to be moving about. Let's go find out where they're going.
Now, we're right on this massive open area now, and when we drove through here 10, 12, I can't even know how many hours ago, it was full of perfect cheetah-sized prey. However, as I said, it's quite dangerous. If we have a look just off to our left, Checker, you see that lone tree out over there? There's a lone tree on the... Where we go? A little bit to the left, I think, from where you are. Quite a bit to the left. There we go. That lone tree is where the 6 male lions were. Oh, but look, that's what I was talking about. Impala. Perfect cheetah prey. I don't know if they've spotted it yet. So what the cheetah are doing at the moment is they're moving very slowly over this big open plain, and they're stopping and watching every couple of minutes, looking for an opportunity. And I think those impala are inadvertently walking straight in the direction. Ah, look at that. I think we might have been... Impala, you might have been spotted. Look at that change in focus from the girls. Okay, let's move up ahead. We need to keep up with them. Now, we're very careful when we drive around animals hunting, not to scare the prey off or to help the predators. So we keep our distance, and the trick is to try predict where it's going to end, so you position yourself in that area. Now, remember, these animals are used to vehicles following them, and they have been habituated to it. And isn't this incredible? We are live from the Masai Mara, and we're bringing you the Mara like no one else sees it. Before the sun pops over that horizon, we are the only 3 vehicles in the whole Masai Mara following animals or doing anything. And that is just truly, truly amazing that we are able to see the Mara like no one else can and share it with all of you at home. Okay, let's have another peruse at what is happening. So, Alan Girl would like to know, what is my favorite, cheetah or leopard? Oh, that is an unfair question. I would say I like them equally. But from my time in the Mara, I would definitely say I am loving the amount of time I get to spend with cheetah, and in particular these 2 girls who are very much becoming firm favorites with me. Now they're heading in the right direction. There are some topi up ahead as well. Go to the front female. Oh, she's got a bit more focus. So both of them have changed their body language, which lets me know they've seen something they want to hunt. And look at that. She's not crouched and getting low yet. There's still quite a big distance between whatever she's spotted and what she wants to get at. Okay, we need to move forward. As I said, we're keeping our distance from both prey and predator. Not to interfere, but I don't want to get the best spot to see what's happening. But hold on, it could be a little bit bumpy, as we don't follow the roads around here. Okay, while I get into the right position, let's quickly shoot across to Jamie with those playful sausages of the sausage pride.
The playful sausages are making it very difficult to get into the right position this morning. Every time I find a suitable spot, they duck around a corner, and it becomes that much harder to see them. But just a quick note, just to let you know just how comfortable these animals feel in our presence. These cubs have been probably about, I would say, 200 yards away from the mothers, and we've been sitting right up close to them, and at no point have the lionesses shown even the slightest degree of concern. They're now up. It's time for them to get moving. The heat is building. Oh, wait, there's going to be a cub ambush. Here we go. They're all gathering together. Going to catch their mothers unawares. The ultimate joy of a youngster and parents. How can you not love moments just like this? And of course, this entire series has been filled with truly magnificent moments here in the Mara. Now we're going to go across to James so that we can chat about just a few of them.
I will try and tell you about a few of them. You may wonder why I'm sitting here in my swing. Well, the whole saga of the shooker and my hanging suspended outside of the window was one of my highlights. I, like most of you, have been unable to pick one. 4 weeks ago, we asked you to pick your migration best moments using the hashtag SafariLive and the hashtag migration best. We whittled it down from 50 to 9, and then we posted video on social media, and those have now been whittled down to the following 3. The giraffe crossing, wonderful sighting here, very unusual, extremely dangerous for the giraffe, not because of the crocodiles, but because they're likely to fall over in a stream like this with slippery rocks. There they are, looking rather affectionate and slightly nervous. Then this I really like. You see this very, very lucky zebra and particularly gormless crocodile, face plant and out of the water. Well done, little fellow. And then the next one, which was a pilfering moment of the hyena. Quite sad here, of course, because there was, of course, the loss of not just the impala, but the impala fetus as well, unborn. Quite astonishing stuff. Alrighty, we're going to go away for a short break. You can keep voting throughout the course of this show. Hashtag SafariLive, hashtag migration best. We'll see you very shortly. Right, well done everybody. Phew, that was cut quite fine, but I think it worked. I hope you're all very well on the internet. I'm well here, not on the internet, although I suppose we're all on the internet maybe. As Fergus was saying, we just don't know really, and we don't know what our reality is. These are discussions for another time, of course. Now I'm going to get my aging bones off this table while we do that. Scott's cheetah, I hope. Oh, they've got up.
They have got up indeed, and they are staring very, very intently up ahead. Let's take a look at what they've seen. Aha! A hyena. And beyond the hyena, there's a huge antelope called an eland. But they're definitely more focused on this hyena, who might well approach to quite a close proximity. I don't think it can smell the cheetah. I think it's just through default heading into this area, but as soon as it does catch wind that there are some predators here, I am fairly certain that it is going to come in to make sure that there's not an easy meal that it can try and steal from them. Because there's no meat, I'm guessing that there won't be any violence or chasing, not like that epic scene you saw of the two sisters chasing off that hyena a little bit earlier. But the joy of being again on these live safaris is that we do not know what is going to happen. I always wonder about hyena when I see them loping along like this. They move huge distances every night, and I always wonder what exactly they've got up to, how many predators they've brushed past in the hope of finding a meal. Well, it seems to be heading straight towards him, so we do have... Let's just take a scan around to the right there, Jean-Andre, on the horizon. When we were moving into this area yesterday, we saw quite a few Thompson's gazelle up in this general area where we're looking now. And I just want to see if they're still there, because that would be... Aha! There they are. Because that right there would be the ideal prey for this mother and her two boys. Not too big to handle, quite speedy though. So some good prey prospects await. They were actually heading in that same general direction yesterday evening, so if they continue in that direction, well then we will get to hopefully see this female and her two boys showing us their skills. Now, even though they aren't experienced hunters, they certainly can hunt. They're just as big as her, so they will be able to assist her, even if it is through default. Wonder what that hyena's found to sniff around there. Oh, good morning. You've had a very lazy evening, Malika, and I'm very happy to see you thinking about waking up, but just like when we wake up in the morning, sometimes it can take a while. So she is just easing into the process with a little stretch there. Just stopped to listen for a second. I thought I could hear some lions off in the distance, but hard to be certain. There's quite a few herds of wildebeest in this general area, and their canoeing is drowning out most other noises. Okay, well, we're about to welcome back our TV audience. Welcome back live to the Masai Mara. It is turning into a spectacular morning, and as you can see, this female cheetah and her two boys have got their heads up, and they're staring off in the direction of another predator. Let's see what it's up to now. It's been slowly making its way towards them. It's just behind that bush there. It looks like a little stump. It's not moving at the moment. It's found something that it's caught its attention. It seems to be sniffing around there, and it's a hyena. It seems to be almost chewing on something. I'm not entirely sure what it is. Welcome back, my name's Scott Dyson. Like I said, these cheetahs are slowly waking up, and it could possibly mean that in the next few minutes they're going to take us towards some Thompson's gazelle. So let me show you where some possible prey is. It's not very close, but at the speed that these guys move, they could get there quite quickly. Now, Thompson's gazelle are quite small. Oh, what have we got there? Is that a vulture? It is indeed. It's starting its morning early. And I wonder where it's off to. Has it caught wind of a kill nearby that it can go and cash in on? Or, oh, lots of wildebeest in the background there. Beautiful scene. It looks like it's possibly going to be landing. There's also a hot air balloon up in the sky there, and you're going to have the joy of being up in one of those a little bit later. For now, though, you're going to have the joy of seeing some more cheetah with a different hyena.
Well, our cheetah have stopped stalking, and they're hiding in the grass because two of their arch nemesis have arrived. Spotted hyenas, they don't know the cheetah are there. They're having a little greeting ceremony. Now, this particular clan is really, really big. This clan is over 100 strong that lives out on the Paradise Plain. Now, Jonathan is wondering, can cheetah hold their own against a single hyena? Sometimes, yes, it depends on the individual hyena, but soon as there is more than one, it is absolutely over. Oh, sorry, my head's in the way. I'm trying to watch what's going on everywhere. But we're very lucky. The hyena have not spotted the cheetah at all, and hopefully they're going to move on. Now, as you see behind the hyena, there's a really big herd of impala with some zebra and topi, and that's what the cheetah was slowly making their way towards, and they're going to hope that these hyena carry on meandering away. Now we are sitting just across from where the balloons take off, and they should be actually flying opposite us in a little bit. So let's go across to James so he can flap his arms as much as he flaps his mouth and take you up into the air.
And Brent is a very funny person. Ha 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 ha. There we are in the balloon flying over the riverine vegetation that fringes the Great Mara River. And as we marvel at the scenes there of various animals, those look like ground hornbills. That's extremely rare to see, highly endangered birds there. I must just tell you that, Scott, you said you thought we were going to see leopard today. Well, maybe we'll be lucky. Somebody called Girl of Fire said she wants to see babies, lions, cheetah, hyena, storks, cranes and ostriches. Well, you'll be lucky. Peggy, you want to see servals. And Goldie Rocks, you said you wanted a full singing, dancing, best of Shooker review. Of all the things we're not going to see, Scott, Girl of Fire, Peggy and Goldie Rocks, I think it's the last one there. Now, we are going to have a look at, I think, the most, important part of the migration. That, of course, is the movement of the herds. They are the main players in this story. And as I've said to you many times before, their sheer numbers beggar belief until you see them, but also the change in the wilderness when they leave is quite astounding. Let's just have a quick look at what has happened over the season. So they began here in February, obviously, with the birthing. 250,000 odd were born there. They moved up around here, and they arrived on the 11th of July when we started our series. And they've been milling around to and fro in the Masai Mara, and now they've started their movement south. And I've just put these arrows here like this in multicolours because, well, I cut them all out, so I thought I'd better use them. But their movement is not a straight line like these arrows. They do move in these swirling motions, and the last remnants are pretty much where Scott is sitting on this drawing pin there, and they're just moving down into the Serengeti, and obviously they're moving slowly south down towards the short grass plains, where it will all begin again in February. Let's have a look at some of the highlights of the herds from this migration season.
The herds of the Great Wildebeest Migration were a jaw-dropping natural spectacle in 2017. It began with a trickle of the zebra vanguard, making the first crossings of the northern Mara River. Many fell to the rapids and the crocodiles. And then came the iconic herds of white-bearded gnu. We marveled at their abundance and smiled at their bleating songs. We felt their fear as darkness came, and the lions scattered the migration buffet into a swirling mass of terror. As the storms moved south, the herds followed in long lines, leaving the plains once more to the residents of the world's most romantic wilderness.
Well, as you can see, again, these herds continue to provide us with incredible scenes, and it's going to be sad to see them go, that is for certain. The good news is that there's a herd over to our left, and they're heading in the opposite direction that they're supposed to be. And I guess that's the interesting thing with the migration. Even though the massive herds do move generally in one direction, at the moment, these guys are heading north, and they're all supposed to be heading south. So good news for us, that means we are going to have some migrating herds up here in the Masai Mara for a little bit longer than expected. Okay, we're going to rush you across to Brent.
Look at this. We were expecting a cheetah hunt. Oh, and the hyenas have just given up. They tried to catch a baby hartebeest. But on a positive note, they've taken themselves far away from our two lovely cheetah girls who are still hiding in the grass. There comes Mom. Mom hartebeest might actually try to chase all the male from the herd. Might try to chase the hyenas as well. Now, hartebeest are one of the fastest antelope. I think the hyenas are proper chances. They saw a slight opportunity at a baby that was possibly sleeping in the grass, and they went for it. But the baby hartebeest managed to escape. Remember, this is live and unscripted. We have absolutely no idea what is going to happen next. And the hartebeest prancing about, showing the hyena that they're so fast you cannot get near them. And this is the thing that's so amazing about the Mara. There's just so many interactions between predator and prey, predator and predator, prey and prey, that it is one of the most amazing wildlife destinations in the world. And it gets my heart going every morning and to go out and wake up to the sunrise, generally next to a big cat. Now, Ron is wondering, how far can predators smell their prey from? Now, Ron, this is quite a contentious question, because a lot of people think that the predators do use their nose a lot. Now, of all the predators out here, the hyenas definitely use their nose more. The cheetah, lion, and the other cats less. They will rely more on their ability to stalk and their incredible burst of speed to take on their potential prey. Now, hyenas use their nose to scavenge. It's not to say lions and leopards and cheetah won't, but they don't use it as often as you would think. Now, dogs, on the other hand, wild dogs and hyenas, jackal will use their nose extensively to locate prey, or to locate potential prey or potential meat to scavenge. Now, those dastardly hyenas have dashed off after the hartebeest. Let's hope our lovely ladies decide it's time to slink forward towards the unsuspecting impala herd. But while we wait patiently, let's go across to the man in migration control to let you know a little bit about those marauding hyenas and the wildebeest of the migration.
Yes, indeed, I will tell you about marauding hyenas, but also what we've come to see over the course of this migration season is nature's darker side. From the wanton killing of the lions, we saw them killing often and then not eating, to this next scene that we have of the hyena and wildebeest. Now, this is not for the faint of heart, and what you're about to see here are sort of fairy tale glowing eyes and the inevitable fate of this poor wildebeest. We've no idea what had stricken this young calf. It seemed almost paralyzed, and the scavengers very quickly realized there was an easy meal in the offing. Now, watching a young animal like this being eaten alive, especially by the much maligned hyena, I think is rather disturbing to our human sensibilities. But as we have seen during the course of the migration, nature can be cruel to an almost eye-popping extent sometimes. And our love of nature, I suppose, while not called into question, is certainly given something of a rude awakening by scenes like that. So that's a little bit sad and distasteful, but there are many endearing things that we're seeing out here, and we're now going to head back to one of the more beautiful things that you can see, a sunrise and some silhouettes of those quintessential African beasts.
It certainly is a magical view, and it's been one of my highlights getting you guys and Jean-Andre, who's on camera, into position to enjoy some incredible silhouetted views, not only of wildebeest. We've had some magical views of cheetah disappearing over the horizon, and who knows, maybe this morning we will get lucky as and when these cheetah decide to wake up. Beautiful, beautiful scenes. Oh, we've got a visitor on our right here, Jean-Andre, at about 1 o'clock. There's an awesome, awesome bird that is coming straight towards us, and if we're very lucky, this bird will come across a serpent. These are snake hunting machines. It is called a secretary bird, and they walk around through the vast open plains looking for snacks. Oh, has it found something? They do eat insects. At the moment there's quite a few grasshoppers around, and I think that's what it's gobbled up. Isn't it fancy with that funky hairdo? And that's where it gets its name from. At some point, it was fashionable for secretaries to have multiple pins sticking out of their hairdos, and this, I'm told, is how this bird got its name. Absolutely awesome. And again, the joys of being on these live safaris and being in the Mara is there's so many interesting animals. Oh, we're in for a treat. There's a bird that's going to come and bomb dive at Jean-Andre. Go a little bit wider. It's coming from the right. It's called a plover. It's chirping furiously. Here comes another one from Lower Gendre, just on the secretary bird. Oh! Now they're going to continue to harass it. Be ready, if you blink you'll miss it. I'm sure they're going to bomb it again. You can hear them chirping in frustration. Come on, plovers, give us one more bomb dive. It seems like two of them have moved off, but there's another two coming in. Oh, here comes one. This is going to be great. What was that? Oh no, that's a harrier. That's another bird of prey. It's all happening here. But here comes a bomb dive. Watch closely. Whoop. And the reason why they will chase this secretary bird is that it doesn't only eat snakes, it would also eat their chicks if they came across it. So kind of a neighborhood watch. They simply don't like the presence of a predator in their neighborhood. Magical. Good stuff. Now there's one last thing that I'd like to show you. I've just noticed them now. On the front of these wildebeest, just at about our 12 o'clock genre, there's some Thompson's gazelle a little bit to the right of the sun. So those little Thompson's gazelle over there are the perfect prey species for this cheetah. They're not far away. We just left the cheetah. They're a couple of 100 meters away to get you these beautiful views. So good prospects for a little bit later on when these cheetah wake up. For now, though, we are going to be sending you up to James in his migration control.
Oh, I'm not James, but I am Jamie, but it's a very, very easy mistake to make out here, especially when there's so many beautiful sounds surrounding us. Sometimes we don't hear exactly. Now, we are still with the sausage tree pride, and Scott's been talking about how beautiful and magic the scenery is. And of course, I think for all of us, one of our favorite things about this migration series has been the moment as the night ends and the dawn breaks, and we can finally start shedding several layers as it starts to heat up. And of course, this beautiful light, everything's golden and then green. It is absolutely too stunning for words. And if you throw in a couple of lions or cheetahs or whatever it happens to be, it makes it even more gorgeous. Our lion cubs are playing and keeping us very busy. They're dashing in and out of this river system, which occasionally makes it quite difficult for us to see them. And in fact, now all of them have vanished completely from where we can see them. But we do have the lionesses, and I think that they're here for a very important reason. And I think that they're here because now that the wildebeest have gone, there is hardly any grass cover. So they're using it as an ambush site. Pamela, who is 8 years old. Welcome to Pamela. It's always so special to hear that we have young viewers with us. Pamela, yes, it is possible that a lioness will eat her cubs if she is very, very hungry. It does happen. It's one of those things about nature. She knows that if she doesn't get nutrients, she will not survive. But it's very unusual, and that maternal instinct and the love that the mothers have for their cubs is so strong that they will sometimes fight to the death to defend them. But yes, a mother might eat very young cubs if she's very hungry, and if her cub is killed by something like a male lion, she might also, if she's feeling hungry, she might also feed off it. Cannibalism is unusual, though, with lions. It doesn't often happen. Look at these adorable little cubs. Can you believe that wherever you happen to find yourself, whether you're sitting on a sofa or at a desk chair, that you're watching what's happening right now in the middle of the Great Migration, albeit rather quiet on this side of the reserve, but you're watching lions live from Africa in the Masai Mara as the sun casts its golden light across the plains. I mentioned that this is the perfect ambush site for these lionesses, and that's not just me making things up. This is something we've experienced, and James is actually going to show you one of those hunts.
I'm very pleased that Jamie's not making things up. That's very pleasing indeed. Now, what we have here is not a large knookvurst, but a sausage, a fruit of the tree Kigelia africana, or the sausage tree, and that is the fruit that gives its name to these lions. Doesn't look like a lion to me. Not sure why they're called that. All right. Now, Jamie was saying that the cover that these lions are seeking is because the grass is going. And she's right, of course, because we've seen over 100 kills during the migration season, just about all of them in the cover of the plains. Have a look at this sausage tree kill. She had been stalking the zebra or some other zebra in the plains beyond this woodland for a little while before this, probably a couple of hours, and she looked very hungry, and we'd been following her. And then she watched this mixed herd crossing through the drainage line and decided to pick her moment very carefully. The zebra, quite big, very powerful. She's on her own. She spots a young wildebeest, a yearling. She goes running in. She creates total chaos. The steep banks and the woodland and the dust make for a perfect ambush, and there she grabs this young wildebeest, wrestles it to the ground, and quite interestingly, she doesn't eat it. I said she was looking hungry. She fed on it probably for about 10 to 20 minutes before moving off again and then starting to hunt. Now, please remember, hashtag migration best, hashtag safari live. You can vote on those 3 clips that we had there. There was the giraffe crossing, the hyena stealing, that's number 3. Number 2, of course, was the zebra tripping over the crocodile as it went. So that's all to look forward to towards the end of the show. I wonder if we couldn't pop down perhaps to the balloon. Yes, let's go up to the balloon. There we are. We have some zebra, not tripping over crocodiles this time, but running across the plains. These visuals courtesy, of course, of Governor's Balloon Safaris. And look how empty those plains are now, but they are green. And as Scott was saying, it's not impossible that those wildebeest could come back up here because of the unseasonal late rains that we've had in this area. So perhaps we'll have more wildebeest up here very shortly. Now, as Scott likes to say, good prospects. We'll hopefully have those when you come back from your little break very shortly. Okay, good. Hello, Internet people. There we are. Now, I think we should give the Internet people a very nice view from the balloon, which is what we are doing. Well done, Manu. Of course, you know, all of our faithful followers and friends on the Internet, well, possibly a slightly larger international audience today on account of the sneak peek that we had before the show. Now, these zebra, remember, a lot of them are, in fact, resident here, so I don't know how many of these are stragglers and are going to go down to the Serengeti regardless, but I think a lot of them are hanging around because of this, how green this grass is. Now, about 4 weeks ago, it was quite brown, and the late rains, or the long rains as they call them, are supposed to end in the middle of July. Well, I can tell you with painful experience that it has rained every single afternoon just about since the middle of July. And so the plains have gone green, and as he, who we're now going to go, was saying, it could be that the wildebeest turn around and come north again. Let's head back across to Scott and Malika's young boy.
Well, isn't this a wonderful, wonderful view with the morning sunlight on this young boy's face? He's staring off in the direction of the Thompson's gazelle we showed you a little bit earlier, so hopefully that will excite him and the rest of the family and get them up and moving. But for now, he's just scanning the perimeter. There's a few other vehicles heading out and about now and joining us in this sighting. Interestingly enough, there's another sighting that we can see from here. And this is one of my favorite things about the Masai Mara, is that you can see multiple sightings from one place. And you wouldn't believe it, but there's some lion up over there, just to the right of that vehicle. You can see a few caramel blobs. It's very, very far away and obviously not too easy to see. And it seems to me like they could be snacking on a wildebeest. You can see some wildebeest on the foreground. So why don't you guys let us know what you would like us to do? Would you like us to stay with these cheetah? Let's go on to the cheetah quickly, Jean-Andre. Or would you like us to head towards the lion who looked to be finishing off a wildebeest? Now, for what it's worth, I would put my money on these cheetah, but let's keep it free and fair. Send through your thoughts as to what you would like us to do. As you can see, the cheetah are waking up and providing us with some beautiful views that it would be very, very hard to leave. Looks like this young boy is slowly learning the ways of the wild, and not uncommon for predators and a lot of wild animals to have a little bit of practice on their fellow siblings. You can also see perfectly now their little mohawks that are indicative of them not being fully grown yet, those little tufts of white fur along their neck. And in the next few months, those should disappear completely. Beautiful. Now, I haven't spent a whole bunch of time with Malika and these two boys, and I'm beginning to wonder if they're not early morning risers. They, on the few times that I have spent with them, been quite casual in the morning with regards to their wake-up time. But I guess it always varies, and there's no set rules out here. They may have kind of slight preferences and slight routines, but there certainly won't be a very, very set or strict routine to their movements. Okay, we are going to be welcoming back the TV audience shortly. Welcome back live to the Masai Mara. It appears this cheetah family is doing a little bit of grooming, getting ready for their day out on the plains. My name's Scott. It's great to have you back on board with us, and I am hoping that these guys don't take too much longer to get up and on the move. Like you saw just before you headed off on the break, that we do have some Thompson's gazelle not too far from them, and it would be absolutely wonderful to see a chase of these cheetah. It's one of the trickiest things for them to bring down. Thompson's gazelle are incredibly tricky, so a fair match, you could say. And now that the sunlight's shining down on them, aren't they absolutely beautiful? Magic, we're going to be sending you back up into the balloon.
Back into the balloon we are, everybody, and we are floating over the Mara River. Now remember, tomorrow is World Rivers Day, an extremely important day, especially in Africa, where obviously many landscapes are very parched indeed, and this river certainly a lifeblood of the entire Masai Mara and into the Serengeti, and likewise many others on the way down towards the southern Serengeti. Now, I am doing my bit for World Rivers Day. Here I am in my canoe, as you can see, with my friend Musiara. He's a very serious fellow, but he's very happily and very kindly agreed to dress up in theme this morning. Now, we're going to play our game, Two Truths and One Lie. I'm going to take my hat off to address you for this game, because as I said to you last time around, you may not use any search engine at all in order to play the game. Do you promise you won't? Good. Now, the game works like this. For those of you who haven't played it before, I'm going to give you 3 facts about the Mara River. One of them is not in fact a fact, it is an absolute lie. You need to pick which one of those that is, and then you vote using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, answer 1, answer 2, or answer 3. Are you ready? Is that clear as mud? Good. Here we go. Answer number 1. The Mara River is some 250 miles long. Answer number 2. The Mara River forms the boundary between Kenya and Tanzania. Answer number 3. Some 6,000 6,000 wildebeest on average die every year from drowning in the Mara River. So those are your three answers there. The first one, the Mara River is 250 miles long. The second one, that the Mara River is the boundary between Kenya and Tanzania. And the third one, that 6,000 wildebeest drown in the Mara River every year. So you pick which one of those you think is rubbish. You let us know on the hashtag Safari Live with answer 1, answer 2 or answer 3. Let us head now back across to Brent Leo Smith, and hopefully his two cheetah sisters are not reclining in the grasses anymore.
They're not reclining, they're skulking, because a third hyena is wandering around. It's got his nose to the ground, or her nose to the ground, and she might be looking for the cheetah. She just might be wandering on her way to the den, and she definitely is not in need of another meal. That is one podgy hyena. It looks like she's been lying in a nice puddle of mud to try cool down while digesting whatever that she managed to eat, and whatever it was a lot. Now, you can see hyenas will often lie in mud puddles and pools and pans to cool down, and that is a chunky hyena. So while the hyenas are around, the girls are keeping a very low profile to make sure that the hyenas just keep moving and they're not spotted. They have by no means given up on the hunt for the impala, and the impala are rutting, so they keep chasing each other around, and every single time the impala get a little bit closer, the cheetah's interest perks up a little bit to the right. Craig? Dad would like to know, do cheetah hunt when they're not hungry like lions? Being a cat, they are completely instinctive, so if the opportunity arises, they will, but probably with less vigor than the lions, just due to the fact that hunting gets their presence known in an area, and it can lead to potential conflict with hyenas, lions, or leopard. Now, I'm hoping that that's the last hyena to come meandering through this area, and our lovely ladies will be free to pursue their breakfast, because they must be absolutely ravenous by now. There we go, 2 heads up. Watching the hyena disappear, but also keeping a really sharp eye on the herd of impala. But quickly across to Jamie with the lions doing something that leopard are better at.
Leopard are far better at it, and in fact, watching this lion cub, I find my heart beating a little bit faster, because there is a very good chance that it's going to fall down, and in fact, I think it might have bitten off more than it could chew. How on earth are you going to get down from there, little one? Yeah, are you just going to stay there? I meant to do this. This is where I wanted to be. It's not that I'm stuck, I just don't. Yeah, maybe if you back up and go forwards, it might work, but you've got to avoid poking yourself in the face. Oh, and the back feet are slipping. Uh-oh. Nicely done. A much more graceful landing than I actually expected from the little one. And the lion cubs love to climb trees out here. It's one of the things that makes this particular area so special, is that you often find lions perched on top of shepherd's trees. In this case, the 2 females are perched on top of a rise on top of the river system that ultimately flows into the magnificent Mara River. The perfect vantage point for the 2 lionesses to spot potential prey. This is where I think they're planning on spending the rest of their morning. We've spoken about our favorite migration moment, and of course, those of you out there are sending through your votes as we speak for what your favorite moment has been. But I must say that the intimacy that we've built up with the various animal characters that we've got to know, the 5 musketeers, Armani's daughters, Malika and her 2 boys, and of course the sausage tree pride, is to me one of the things that's made this series as special as it has been. Aren't you gorgeous, girl? As our lions take the opportunity to warm themselves after a chilly night, and the cubs have a little bit of a rest, Matt, you're wondering how long it is that the lion cubs will stay with their mothers. Matt, if it's a female lion cub, in the way that that pale little cub is, she'll probably stay with her pride for the rest of her life. So she'll stay with her mother, her aunt, her cousins, and they will all be together as a happy family. If it is a young male, as 2 of the sausage tree cubs are, well, that is a slightly more difficult thing, because at around about 3 or so years old, they reach sexual maturity, and it's time for them to move off on their own. Often with the company of a brother or a cousin of a similar age, but they will move off and they will move away from their natal range. And they'll go off and for a few years be essentially nomadic until the point that they're large enough to be able to fight for territory in the same way that Scarface has done. Scarface, of course, being one of the most famous lions that we've been able to show you during this series. Speaking of this river system that, of course, flows towards the Mara River, as we speak, the balloon is ghosting over the top of it.
It is ghosting a little bit over the top, isn't it? And it's interesting because the wind over the last few days has pushed it away from the river, and it's really nice to see how full the river still is. And that, of course, is because of the unseasonal late rain. There's a little pod of hippos sitting in a lee of the flow, so it's a little bit more peaceful there. And they, of course, probably rather pleased that the wildebeest are no longer streaming across the river and creating a great gefuffel. Is that a word that is used in anywhere other than South Africa? I'm not sure. Gefuffel. It's quite a good word, I think. Now, yet again, I have lost the game 2 truths and 1 lie, but I came closer to winning this time around. 25% of you said that the river cannot possibly be 250 miles long. It is 250 miles long. 47% of you said that it does not form the border between Kenya and Tanzania, and you are absolutely correct, it does not. 28% of you said that 6,000 wildebeest couldn't possibly drown in that river every year, and you would have been wrong. They do. More than 6,000 wildebeest on average drown in that river every single year, which I just think is quite astonishing. Now, if you're still wondering who on earth I am, my name is James Henry, and I am the host of the show for today, and it's wonderful to have you all with us. Please continue to talk to us using the hashtag SafariLive. Now, later on in the show, in this very skillfully constructed envelope of very expensive stationery, the winner of the Migration Best will arrive. Isn't that nice? I think that's rather beautiful. You can continue to vote for the 3 clips using the hashtag SafariLive and the hashtag MigrationBest, and I think you then just put a number on the end of whichever one you want to see. So if you look there we are, that's how you do it. Hashtag MigrationBest1, hashtag MigrationBest2, or hashtag MigrationBest3. So 1, of course, the giraffe, 2, the zebra tripping over the gormless crocodile, and 3, the hyenas stealing. Well, it's a really rather sad scene, that one there. Okay, good. Let's head back out into the field and find out if those cheetah are perhaps going to get up and do something useful about their breakfast instead of waiting for their mother to go and get it for them.
Well, I hope James is right about these guys getting up and going and proving to Mom that they can, in fact, fend for themselves. And it would definitely add to the list of magical moments we have experienced. I have thoroughly enjoyed numerous moments and memories spent with Cheetah, this family. I've seen make kills, the coalition of those 5 males doing that hunting after dark. And one thing that really stood out for me was the night that D'Artagnan, the 1 male out of that coalition of 5, just disappeared. We actually lost them as they crossed a river. When we found the coalition again, there was only 4 members in it, and for about 8 or 9 hours, for basically the majority of the night, we had no idea where he was, and it was a huge welcome relief to see him return in the morning. We weren't sure where he went or something had happened to him, but again, just adding to the list of moments that I will remember certainly for a long time, and most of which we've managed to share with you guys, and isn't that absolutely awesome? Off go some balloons, enjoying some aerial views, as have you. Now, they do seem like they're thinking about waking up. I've said that a number of times this morning, but I think they are beginning to now look a little bit more serious. They've all been grooming one another, and I'm hoping it won't be too much longer before they take us on a stroll. Come on, boy. Good question through from Debbie in Vancouver. Thanks for sending it through. You would like to know, why is it that young cheetah have these manes? And when they're very young cubs, they're very white in coloration. And it will definitely help them blend in to thickets, grassy thickets. There is also a theory that it is to make them look like honey badgers, which are quite ferocious little beasts that command a lot of respect in the African wilderness, especially considering how small they are. I'm not convinced that a cheetah would have been able to evolve to look like a honey badger when it's young, but it is one of the theories out there. I think it's simply to help them blend into grassy thickets and be very well camouflaged when they are tucked away when mom is off hunting. These guys certainly won't be tucked away anymore. They are big enough to join in on the hunts, and it was just yesterday or the day before that we actually saw these two trying to catch some wildebeest fairly half-heartedly while mom was snoozing, so there was a little bit of a roles reversed. Okay, well, we're going to keep you guys moving around and send you across to his cheetah.
Well, this is a cheetah that's certainly not moving around at the moment. I think they are playing it very smart and waiting for the hyenas to be a safe distance away, because patience is important when you're a predator, and you can see the prey is not too far away, only about 250 meters or so, and they're going to be hoping that slowly but surely those impala move towards where we're sitting. And I know how hungry these girls are after spending a full 2 days and nights with them. And they deserve a bit of a rest. Now, as you can see, it's less common to see a cheetah sleeping as flat as that. Normally they sleep with their heads up to see if there's any potential problems around, but Tony is wondering which of the cats sleeps the most. Well, Tony, I think that definitely that prize goes without a doubt to the largest of our big cats, the lion. They can sleep for up to about 20 hours a day. If they're really full, they can sleep even longer than that. Cheetah, on the other hand, will probably sleep an average of 10 to 14 hours a day. Leopard a little bit longer, up to about 17, 18 hours a day. Now, for those of you who are new on the live vehicle in the middle of one of the most magnificent wildlife destinations in the world, my name is Brent, and we're live in the Masai Mara in Kenya, and we've got 2 cheetah here. One of them is completely flat, looking like a cheetah skin rug at the moment. The other's head is still up. She's keeping a look around, making sure that there's no potential danger close by, or that there isn't any potential prey moving closer towards them. As we said, there's a lot of animals all around. Now we've just got to keep our fingers crossed that they are feeling safe now that the hyenas have left and are going to move towards that massive herd of impala and quell their hunger. While we sit here and wait for our ladies to get moving, let's jump across to the other side of the Mara River to Jamie and the gorgeous Sausage Pride.
The gorgeous Sausage Pride, one of whom is so hungry that he's decided he's going to nibble on some grass. Shame, little ones. Mum hasn't been too successful, but they're not too bothered. For those of you that have just joined us, my name is Jamie, and I thought that Brent and James had far too much fun with their shookers, so I've decided, in the sun, that it's time for a new hat. And my ears were getting sunburnt. Back to the lion cubs. They are gathered together in a massive puddle of cuteness. And our little pale lion cub is at the back watching and enjoying a little teething toy. There she is at the back over there. Now, we're going to be taking a short break in the very not too distant future, so don't go anywhere to enjoy more cub cuteness and, of course, the excitement of the lovely Mara cheetahs. Okay, so for those of you watching on the internet, you get to watch the sausage tree cubs knock each other about a little bit more. Grrr, yes, grumble, grumble, grumble. It's amazing how even-tempered lion cubs are, considering what children are like when they get hungry. I mean, these cubs are pretty hungry. They haven't had a meal that I know of in at least 2 days. They're still playing with each other. Yes, every now and again it gets too boisterous. Oi! Why'd you steal the stick? That was her stick. Now it's going to be a tug-of-war. She'll come out on top, though. She always does. There you go. Sneaking in there. Sidling in to steal it back. Or perhaps go off and find herself another one. I was watching them yesterday, climbing a tree. And the older cubs and her larger brother all sort of made their way up the tree. But they didn't get very far, and then they'd fall down again. And she kept walking up behind them and pulling them down until eventually they all gave up. And she decided she was going to show them exactly how it was done, and went probably about double the distance that any of the other cubs had gone. And then got stuck and sat there looking down at them for a while. That spotted belly. They're at that difficult age, though, for the poor mothers, especially the older pair. They keep following them. Every time the lionesses are hunting, they keep following them, and I'm sure it's one of the reasons that the lionesses are distracted. Because all of a sudden this cub comes tumbling out of the grass and gives away their position. They've ruined at least one of their hunts. Paul! Grab that stick! Get it back. You see, I told you she'd get it back. Now, since we're on internet, perhaps I should just remind Kirsty that she's using the wrong radio. She says, sorry, sorry, sorry. For those of you watching who perhaps haven't seen this before, Kirsty, of course, is our very, very able and very level-headed director, thank goodness. But I just thought I'd let her know in case there was some confusion. There you go. She's victorious once again. But now she's lost interest. It's not as much fun when it's not contested, is it? Go and roll in the grass instead. These lions are just refusing to come out of this particular river system. It's a catastrophe. Ha ha. Plenty of chew toys. Plenty to keep lion cubs entertained. And the sounds of the Mara to keep us entertained as well. Speaking of sounds of the Mara, I think it's time that you heard a little bit more from James, who's found something on the river camera.
Look at this, we've got some lions, the Paradise Pride, heading down towards the river, hoping to catch a straggler coming across, perhaps. We're shortly going to go back to the television. Now, I'm very proud of myself because I found them today. Normally I don't find anything, and Eggsy does it all. And we're going to come out of our advert break apparently with a map. So when the lions disappear, don't be alarmed. Don't fling your device through the window or out of the door or feed it to your dog or anything like that. Just be aware. Good. Back to TV. Here we go. Welcome back, everybody, to your live safari here from the Masai Mara. We're going to take you down to the main south crossing where we have the Paradise Pride moving down towards the river. Isn't that special? Please remember, we'd love to hear from you through the course of the rest of this show, which is about 50 minutes left, I suppose. Hashtag Safari Live is how you get hold of us. Now, if you have not seen these lions before, they are a very special pride that really loves the migration because they spend all their time basically waiting for things to come across the river and then ambushing them. And you can see they're heading towards the banks. We watched them kill a zebra here, wildebeest here about 2 days ago. And we've seen them kill a zebra live at this very crossing during one of our shows. I think it was the 5th episode or so. Isn't that special? That is just magnificent. Right. It is, of course, World Rivers Day today. And, there's rather a nice quote about World Rivers Day that I'm going to give you. And it goes like this. Rivers are the arteries of our planet. They are the lifelines in the truest sense. They are certainly a lifeline out here, but they're also a death trap, of course. And this river is an inescapable prop for every single migration character. And we have watched some astonishing things in the river over the course of the migration season. Have a look.
Over the last 6 months, we've been mesmerized by the Mara River, the lifeline of the migration story. Its waters quenched thirsty travelers at a price. During the migration season, we watched the herds traverse the river using age-old crossing points. Fertile pastures on both banks made us question why the animals would risk the raging rapids. We also watched the Mara's crocodiles gorge. The stealth and speed of their mighty jaws were awe-inspiring. Some were drowned, many were injured, but most escaped. Even the lions of the Paradise Pride used the contours of the river to stalk unexpected prey after their perilous swim. The toll that the river has taken on the herds is a stark reminder that the water is both giver and taker of life. Until the migration returns, the Mara will continue to flow.
Well, certainly one of my favorite scenes from the past few months was those moments captured from the balloon, those two lioness catching that poor zebra as it thought it made it away from the crocodiles. These two boys have been playing a little bit with one another. Well, actually, that's Mum in the middle. They've just stopped, and let's hope they continue to size one another up. Even though they are brothers, they certainly will be competing with one another for ladies in the future if they do start a coalition of their own. Now, something else that they will have to contend with in the coming months is the lack of migrating herds. But for them personally, I don't think it's actually going to make too much of a difference, because they haven't really been hunting them too much, especially her at least. So for certain predators, yes, it's definitely going to become a lot harder, but I don't think it's going to make a huge difference to this female's life. She is going to continue to pick off the smaller prey, and I guess maybe she hasn't been able to cash in on the Thompson's gazelles this year because they haven't appeared to arrive. As far as we're aware, we haven't noticed an influx of these gazelles, and I'm not sure exactly where they could be. So I guess it's possibly been a tougher migration year than normal for Malika over here. But certainly the Lions and the Musketeer Coalition are going to miss having the bountiful herds of wildebeest around. Hello, Julie. You'd like to know what prey would be left once the migrating herds disappear? Well, all of the same prey will exist. There will still be zebra, there will still be wildebeest, and there will still be Thompson's gazelle. Just not nearly as many of them. So that is what's going to make it tricky for the predators. There's just simply not as many opportunities. but definitely there are going to be the same species of prey. The predators may start focusing on other animals like the eland and the topi, which maybe get a little less heat on them during the migration months. But I guess the main thing to remember is that all of the predators out here are opportunistic, and whatever opportunity presents itself to them, be it a Thompson's gazelle or a topi or a wildebeest, they will take it. Again, it's just the mere fact that during the migration, the sheer numbers create massive, massive opportunities for all of the predators here. Okay, come on, boys. Why don't you guys get up and take us on a mission with you? Well, seeing as though they're not quite ready to do that, we're going to send you on a mission back to Brent.
Well, hopefully our cheetah heard Scott all the way from the other side of the Mara, and one just sat up from being a flat cat. Could they feel now is the time? No hyenas are around, and it's time to get the breakfast. The impala are slowly moving towards longer grass. No, don't flop back down. Scott said it's time to get up and take us on a mission. Of course, we being live, we are at nature's beck and call. We go to her cycles, not to the ones we wish. And that is one of the things about being live from the African bush. You never know what could happen next. And at the moment, I think this cheetah is just really enjoying the morning sunshine, warming up. It was a very cold night last night, so probably nice to get a bit of a tan, a bit of a morning bask, and quite a lot of the big cats in the Mara you will find doing that at this time of the day. And if it was lions, it might be the end of the day for them. They might be heading to snooze. But I'm really hoping that the lack of hyena now will encourage these cheetah to make the sneak towards the impala. Monkey Business is wondering, do the big cats always approach their prey from downwind? Not at all. Quite often they seem to take total disregard for the wind, and I think more happens to be luck when they are hunting downwind of their prey, and they tend to rely a lot more on their sight and their hearing as their two predominant senses. Oh, she does look comfortable though. I'm a little bit jealous. I'd like to lounge out in the sun. Now, we're sitting on the edge of a very famous plain in the Masai Mara. It's called Paradise Plain. And speaking of plains, James is going to take you on a lovely tour of quite a few of the different plains of the Mara.
I suppose of all the sets that we have here in the Mara, the plains have been the most important. Now, the red oat grass that we find here, of course, got shorter and shorter as the migration continued. And that is, of course, because it was being grazed, and by the teeth, which were much more effective than these clippers are here. And shorter it got until we thought the Thompson's gazelles were going to arrive, but as Scott said, they haven't quite got here. Now, let's go and have a look at the major highlights of the plains.
The fertile grasslands of the Masai Mara were the main stage on which our migration saga unfolded. When the herds arrived, their numbers defied belief. Predators like Scarface stalked the plains, reveling in endless opportunities for food. One of the most shocking things to witness was the bloodlust of the lions. Time and again they killed, leaving some victims for scavengers. The 5 cheetah musketeers picked off stragglers every day. But these slender cats often lost their hard-won meals to stronger, bolder, more persistent predators. As the herds depart, the oatgrass plains breathe new life, feeding off the spoils of the Great Migration.
You've heard all about the plains of the Masai Mara and how the ecosystem affects the animals that live in it. Now you're back live with the Sausage Tree Pride, whose territory sits right on the edge of the plains up against the mountainous escarpment known as the Olololo Escarpment. The Sausage Tree Pride will have a much tougher job now that the wildebeest have gone, and although it looks very grassy here, that's because we're sitting along the banks of a river system. It's basically dry at this point, but the water has cut through a deep groove within the surface of the soil. I think that the wildebeest, combined with James's garden shears, I think he's been sneaking out every night when he's not up in migration control and cutting the grass, have made life slightly more difficult for the sausages, because it's really very difficult for them to sneak up on their prey. And there we go, little cub curled up in what's left of the long grass. It'll be interesting for us, of course, to follow the story of the Sausage Tree Pride now that the migration has left this area, to see the way in which it impacts them. But remember, just because the wildebeest, or most of the wildebeest, have gone, it doesn't mean that all of the animals are. The warthogs, the eland, the buffalo still remain clustered around this particular area, and they will serve to keep the sausages fed until next year, when the abundance of the migration returns. And who knows where these cubs will be at that point and how large they will be. They'll even be large enough to participate in the hunt. There's an interesting question. Speaking of the regular and reliable return of the migration, the unhappy one, I'm sorry to hear you're unhappy. I do hope that we've made you slightly happier. You want to know if there's anything that could happen that could potentially stop the migration from occurring at all. I highly doubt it. There might be something that perhaps makes it late, or perhaps in this case particularly brief, and that would largely be controlled by the rains, and perhaps a severe drought might prevent most of the wildebeest from entering this particular part of their migratory route. But it's highly, highly unlikely when you think of how many centuries, those thousands of millions of wildebeest and zebra and Thompson's gazelle have moved through this area. But of course, speaking of Thompson's gazelle, the herds didn't arrive this year at all, or at least they haven't yet. The lions will have to wait patiently until the migration returns again. And these cubs, as I said, when we are here with them this time next year, will be big enough and strong enough to participate in the hunt with the adults. And that's going to be an extraordinary thing to see. Let's go a little bit further forward, since this little cub is now fast asleep, and go and have a quick look at the lionesses. Quickly a look at our lionesses, if I can get there fast enough. No, they are hidden. There we go. A little window between the trees and the little tail of the pale cub. Now, of course, I mentioned the fact that there's plenty still for these lions to still feed on, one of which is the warthogs, and we had quite an interesting experience with a lion hunt not too long ago.
Yes, indeed, the warthogs, of which this might be an ancient ancestor. I'm not entirely sure what that is, to be clear, but I thought I'd put it there because we are in sort of a piggish scene at the moment. Before we get to our piggish scene, remember, keep voting, hashtag Safari Live, hashtag Migration Best. Very shortly, they're going to dispatch the bald eagle all the way from the United States, shoot it across here with the winner, and then we're going to place it in this envelope. Of course, it is not in there yet. Keep voting. Thank you. Now, as Jamie was saying, of course, what happens is the migration herds disappear, and then, well, the animals must find something else to eat. That was the case with the Purungat Pride the other day. There they are, not a wildebeest or zebra in sight, the topi totally safe in the middle of the day, but not so this little pig. And although it is twice as fast as you or I, it really is nothing like as quick as the big striding lion. That's a really sad thing to see, but really impressive to watch the agility of the enormous lion. Let's head back to Scott and find out if the agile cheetah have finally got up.
Still no joy, and I guess at least the two boys are showing a little bit of signs of a bit of bit more playfulness. I love watching them run around chasing one another, practicing honing their skills and having a good time while they do that. What is Mom looking at? Let me have a look with my binoculars, see if there's nothing across over there. I don't think there is anything, but you never know. There's a little riverine area just down to our left here, so let's just take a scan through there quickly and see if there's no possible prey that will lure these cheetah out of their slumber. Doesn't appear to be anything at first glance, but we must be ready for anything. And you would like to know which of the big cats have the hardest job feeding their cubs. And I think it's probably the same for all of them. It'll all just depend on the individual's luck at the time. But I think between lion, leopard and cheetah, they're all fairly equally good hunters. So acquiring meals will be, like I say, dependent on luck, dependent on whether they have cubs during the migrating months or how much prey may be in any given area whilst those cubs are being raised. But it certainly is and can be the biggest hardship for mothers to provide enough food for growing cubs. She was showing signs of kind of waking up a little bit earlier, doing a bit of grooming and yawning, and hopefully she'll continue to do that. There still is enough time for these cheetah to get up and move off in the direction of some prey. I think these wildebeest are a little bit too big for her, but maybe she'll prove us all wrong with the help of her two boys. Well, while we wait for these guys to make up their mind, let's send you back to Brent to see how his cheetah are getting along.
Well, at least the head was up, but the impala have inadvertently, unknowingly, unwittingly moved closer and closer to the two cheetah sisters who are snoozing at the moment. But with cheetah and all big cats, that can change in an instant. Now, let's have a closer look at the herd. Let's have a look if there's any smaller baby impala or young sub-adults in the herd that might attract the girls' attention. For multiple reasons, they might be able to finish that before a marauding hyena or lion comes along. Also, probably a little bit easier to catch. But they are getting closer. Oh, she's also flat. Come on, girls, time to wake up. Mia in Illinois is wondering, is it true that cheetah can't see their prey if it doesn't move? I would say from a long distance, Mia, yes. They need that movement. That's how their eyes work. They're designed to catch movement. But from a closer point, I think they will definitely be able to see the prey. And I'm actually 100% certain that these cheetah know that these impala are moving in this direction, and they're just biding their time to wait for the most opportune moment to strike. And we gotta hope it's gonna happen soon. I've got a good feeling. I'm feeling lucky today, but I am an eternal optimist, and we cannot predict what's gonna happen next on a live safari. But I know how hungry these girls are. Ooh, come on, girls. Time for breakfast. Now, while we wait patiently with the cheetah sisters, let's go across to James, who's going to take you down to the river cams, because tomorrow is, of course, National World River Day.
The abundance of life on the rivers is just very special. We've got a flower there called Solanum panduriforme, or the poison apple, and a very special bird called a martin, which is like it's like a swallow, really. Isn't he lovely? Now I'm just going to zoom out a bit and see if we can't quickly see the other swallows. They're nesting in these banks. There they are. Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? That's just beautiful. Let me try and zoom in a little bit more now. Now we're going to go off for a very short break, So please don't go anywhere. The sun is beating down on this beautiful scene here, and hopefully we'll have some action with those cats when you return. We're in an ad break, everybody. I was a bit confused there, caught between what might be termed a rock and a hard place. Good. Okay. I think we should go back to cul-de-sac if we can. Can we do that? Marvellous. There we are. Look at them little swallows. Unfortunately, this picture starts to freeze, which is deeply irksome to me. Anyway, that's very pretty. And then we can go, if you would like. Well, let's just have a look at these martins. So we've got the swallows and we've got the martins. I mean, it's the kind of thing you could watch all day long very happily. But apparently not happily for Kirsten, who wants to go and look at lions with Jamie. Fine, Kirsten. Let's go and look at lions with Jamie then. Fine, go on. Off you go.
Let us indeed look at lions with Jamie while we attempt to sort things out. Back that side, we've got the sausage tree pride. Just goes to show, whenever you drive past long grass like this, always just do a double check, because you never know who might be hiding there. Is it you that's been sneezing all night, little cub? Our little pale female was sneezing the entire night through last night. I think she's got something up her nose, because I didn't notice it last night. Oh, or the night before. I've lost track. Somewhere around there. Oh, thanks, lions. Here we go. We can always rely on her to go and investigate whatever trouble is happening. Get involved. Now, don't all go that side. Come on, ladies. Every time, I know I've said this many times before, every time I go to one side of a drainage line or a lugger, the lions end up on the opposite side of it. If I ever write a book, it's going to be the lion and the lugger, and I will always be on the wrong side. They were all this side when I came across. Now you've all vanished completely. Okay. Right. I think a reposition is in order. Oh, goodness, let's not roll into the lugger. That would not be fun. How are we going to do this? Watch now, I'll go all the way around here and the lion cubs will pop out behind me. Murphy's Law. Oh, hold on. Bit bumpy. No, come back. Oh. Okay. Family portrait, sort of. Let's try. Should we try for a further forward family portrait? Now you've all got your backs to us. Okay, one more time. One more try. One more try, and then Dave and I are going round. I have searched high and low for a way to cross through here. It is just not possible. Okay. You've got your pretty face. There we go. Marvellous. Right, now we've got exactly 60 seconds before our TV audiences return. We'll do a countdown and we'll see whether or not the lion cub gets up and moves. Hey, would you be very kind and stay there for me? I would really appreciate it. Really, really. I think they look pretty settled. to say it's been amazing just how much more comfortable the sausage tree pride has become. From in the beginning, when I first started seeing them, they had a very, very large personal space, and they always used to walk big circles around us. Now, they walk right past the car without any concern. Hey, you've got 20 seconds. Please put your face back to where it was. Excuse me. Yes, you. There we go. Thank you very much. Welcome back to another exquisite morning here in the Masai Mara, where we're bringing you the story of the migration live, and in fact this is the finale of our migration series. We've seen extraordinary things unfold in front of us, we've followed predators throughout the night, and we've come to know the various animals individually. Remember, because this is a live safari, it means that it is interactive, so send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter. Share with us your favorite moments, and of course vote using the #MigrationBest in order to tell us exactly what your favorite moment was from our migration series. And it's a difficult one. I wouldn't begin to know how to choose. I still think, simply because I've spent so much time with them, the sausages are mine. Surprised, that was not what I was expecting to hear. Scott, of course, has been the cheetah man of the migration series, but he's found something different.
Well, we've got lucky, and we've spotted these lion off in the distance, and they're finishing off a wildebeest kill. Listen to this. Now, what's fascinating is that the noise you can hear is coming from these little cubs. But you'd expect that noise only be able to be generated by a big adult lion. There seem to be about at least 7 or 8 cubs in this pile, snacking on the carcass. Just one lioness with her there. Oh, how cute was that little cub popping out underneath its mother's stomach. What an awesome scene there. You can see another lioness tending to some of her cubs in the background. It seems like quite a lot of cubs. I'm guessing maybe about 10 or 12 in total, and as far as I'm aware, it seems like 3 lioness, so possibly they've given birth to about 4 cubs each. And oh, that one's found some takeaway. Look at how full its belly is. It looks like it's about to pop. Little greedy young boy. Awesome stuff. Hi Steve, you'd like to know how long will these cats be able to go between meals? And for cubs, they have the joy of being fed by their mother's milk, so even though these cubs are feeding on meat now, they will have milk. Sure. Okay guys, they will have milk kind of substituting meat when it's not as readily available. I would guess these cubs are about 4 or 5 months of age, so they would have started eating meat at around 3 months of age, and you can tell that they like the taste of it by the way they're growling at one another, fighting over the best spots. And again, I just can't believe these deep growls are coming from these tiny little cubs. Fascinating. So yeah, Steve, but for the adults, they would be able to survive very easily for 3 days without a meal once they've had a decent one, and up to about a week if times are desperate. They would easily be able to survive without a meal. It's just at the moment they've been spoiled with all the wildebeest in the area that they've been gorging themselves, and they are certainly looking as good as they ever will in terms of body condition. They are all in such great nick at the end of what has been a 3-month buffet. Hello Tulo, you would like to know what are my favorite sounds of the Mara, and my favorite sound by far in the African wilderness is to hear lions roaring. And if there is one thing that I could wish everybody hears when they're out on their safaris, is that of a lion roar, especially if you get about 4 or 5 big males around you facing towards you. Literally you feel your body shaking, and you can imagine how much noise a big male makes if these young cubs are making such a racket. So we're enjoying the sighting with quite a few other vehicles, one of which I appear to have parked in. so I may need to reposition the vehicle slightly so the guide can continue taking his clients on safari, because I've snuck into a bit of an awkward spot here. So we're going to be sending you across to James for one of the most awesome clips. You are in for a laugh.
Well, even this close to the equator, the days are lengthening. Things are getting a little hotter here, and, well, as the migration herds recede, so it is that an atmosphere of sort of holiday is permeating the area, and my friend Horace over here and his still living cohorts would agree. Now, after the rather horrific scenes we saw with the hyena killing a little while back, it's really nice to see these animals showing us their more endearing side. Plop, there we go. And for young and old, I suppose, as the warmth comes and the wildflowers burst out of the plains, so a feeling of holiday season is going to remain for all of them. Isn't that just the most beautifully wonderful, relaxing and joyous thing to see? Let's get back across to Brent now and see if his cheetah are going to have a swim.
Well, no, the cheetah are definitely not going to swim, but they might, if they're lucky, have a bloodbath. They are up and eyeing those impala. There's also the odd Grant's gazelle amongst them, but this is the most movement we've had for a while. They obviously feel confident enough that the hyenas have moved away. Now, they're just very carefully watching the herd. They'll be looking for any slight weakness and or sign of a youngster. And sometimes we might not even be able to see what that little weakness is or what the trigger is that enables them to single out a single individual as their target. Quick look back to my sister. Let's make sure there's nothing behind us. No hyenas, no lions, no easier prey. Now, you can almost see their brains churning at the moment. Okay, we've got some zebra over there. They're not good for us. There we go. She's decided. There we go. We've got a stretch. I think just from that sort of initial stare, there we go, neck flat. She wants breakfast. She is hungry. Now, what I think she might do is come across the front of us, try head for the slightly longer grass, and head towards those impala. I'm going to wait till she moves past us before we move the vehicle. And second stretch. Here we go. You can see how concave their bellies are. They are really hungry. Ears are flat. They don't want to give away their body shape in the grass. Checking around constantly, making sure there's no potential thievery about by hyenas or lions. Now, they expend a lot of energy on a hunt, so they want to make sure that that energy is well spent and they get some reward for it. Now, one has gone flat again, but the other is staring intently at the herd. They're still probably about 300 meters away, so I want to reposition to be in a spot where I'm not going to disturb the cheetah or the impala. So while I do that, let's jump across the river to Jamie and a member of Africa's Big Five.
Another member of the African Big Five. I was repositioning to go and find the lions, and I found myself caught in Masai Mara traffic. Who would have thought it would be this bad, though it is, of course, rush hour on the way to the waterhole. So we found ourselves a herd of buffalo, and in fact it is the same herd of buffalo that the Sausage Tree Pride found 2 nights ago, and I have to tell you a quick story because it was quite hilarious to witness. One of the older cubs got lucky, and a buffalo bull happened to stumble upon them while they were all asleep, and the cub shot up and out of natural instinct ran at the buffalo bull. Now that could have been a very dangerous thing, because buffalo bulls can and do kill lion cubs if they manage to. They're very, very dangerous animals. They're absolutely massive. Obviously, both the females and the males have those powerful horns. But because this male buffalo got such a surprise, it turned around and ran away. And a couple of hours later, the lionesses were stalking through, trying to see if they could single out a vulnerable member of the buffalo herd. And the cub decided, oh, well, I'm obviously big and scary, just like Mum. I'm going to try and chase these buffalo again. And it picked on one of the female buffalo, a massive buffalo cow, and it went running at this buffalo cow, expecting her to turn tail, because of course that's what experience had taught it, and this buffalo did not. In fact, she turned around and she raced horns down at the little cub, and the entire pride of lions ended up having to run away because the buffalo banded together and formed an impenetrable forest or sort of barrier of spears and chased them away. I think it was actually very entertaining to watch from my perspective, because I knew that the lions were not in any danger. It's always quite the experience. Then I was surrounded by angry buffalo, but that's a different part of this tale. There we go, wallowing in mud, just like the hyena enjoy doing on a warm morning. And resting his head. Melissa, I'll tell you the honest truth. We've had a few scary moments. I would say that the scariest moment that I experienced during the migration was when we were in a herd of about 100,000 wildebeest with 2 male lions. And the male lions started hunting the wildebeest, and the wildebeest started to panic, and it's dark and it's chaos, and they run in swirls, not even circles, they run in swirls. And you've got 100,000 animals stampeding around you in sheer panic. And I think that for me was one of the scariest moments, not only that I've experienced in the migration, but that I've actually experienced in all my years out here in the wilderness, various wilderness areas of Africa. Another scary moment, Dave had one, where he woke up with the lion's head right next to him. We occasionally do sleep on the vehicles, of course we follow the animals all night, and one of the lionesses got curious and came to say hello to Dave. Dave did not say hello back. All in all, though, we have learnt so very much from these amazing creatures, spending a large portion of our time right up against the escarpment, but there's one resident of the escarpment that I don't think you've met yet.
I don't know if you have met it, actually. I think Jamie's right. This is the olive baboon. To my mind, the most attractive baboon species we have, not in terms of behavior. Obviously, scrabbling around where that young female is now is possibly not the best morning activity to be engaging in. Anyway, that's a big male baboon there, and obviously his consort feels he needs a little bit of a bath. And, I think that's very nice of her to give it to him. So this is the view that we have just below the migration control room. Magnificent baboons they are, the olive baboons, and we find them up here, as Jamie was saying, on the Olololo escarpment. Look at them sitting in amongst the trees, a lovely summer breeze or springish breeze now blowing through this area. Gorgeous stuff. Marvellous. Now, I'm so pleased about this, but Scott, of course, is with a giant pride of lions on a kill. Let's go back to them.
So am I. And listen to these cubs squealing and growling at one another, fighting over the last remaining scraps of this wildebeest carcass. Absolutely awesome. I love the way the cubs are still quite heavily spotted compared to the adults, as you can see on the one's back left legs there. Those spots will fade with age, but they certainly do make for very beautiful markings when the cubs are still young. I'm certainly also glad that we ditched Malika and the 2 boys. We've been spying on them with binoculars from a distance, and they are still fast asleep. So it was a good move to gamble coming up here to see what these lions were up to, because it certainly is extraordinarily interesting to hear how loud these cubs can roar, and of course they are just wonderfully cute to look at. It seems like all of them now are beginning to thinking about seeking refuge in the shade. It is warming up. What you'll also notice is that this mother's nipples are quite prominent at the moment, and that emphasizes the fact that these cubs are still reliant on milk. So it's not just meat that they'll be feeding on, and they'll continue to rely on milk until they're about 6 to 9 months of age. Mom's also fed herself well, and the mothers will often feed themselves first so that they can make sure they've got enough energy to acquire the next meal for the cubs. Oh, we're going to have some great views. It looks like more of them are coming towards us, Jean-Andre. So, Daniela, you would like to know if the smaller cubs will be feeding on the leftovers more than the larger kind of cubs would. And yes, I think that's fair to say. The biggest lions will be able to feed first, and the smaller ones will generally feed last. Oh, how cool is this with this little cub? I love the way lions can be so affectionate, and you could see from that cub not just affectionate to the one lioness, which would be its mother, but also to its auntie. And it seems like the cubs are going to lead the way for a while. They can be incredibly curious and playful, and sometimes a little bit bold. Where are you taking them? I'm surprised these mothers have decided to head off. You know what I think they're actually going to do? I think they're going to head down to a riverbed where they can have a drink, wash down what must have been a salty wildebeest. We're going to send you back to Brent to get an update on the cheetah.
Well, unfortunately for our absolutely famished, gorgeous girls, a zebra spotted them, snorted the alarm, let the impala know, and the hunt was up. But that's how it goes. A lot of stalks and hunts of the big cats in Africa are unsuccessful, but they can play the patience game all day, and hopefully they will succeed at some point in the near future. And it has been absolutely wonderful. But remember, you can follow these cheetah girls even after this on the internet. Just type in Safari Live to look for us. Now, I know you've all been voting for the best moment of the Safari Live migration madness. Let's take you up to the madman to tell you what it is.
He calls me mad, does he? Right, okay, here we go. The bald eagle has just arrived, and the results are in. The winner of the migration best moment, the zebra tripping over the gormless crocodile. Excellent, there it is. There is the luckiest zebra in all the Mara, tripping over its crocodile and now getting out of the water. Well done, and of course it's now going to head off and have a very nice time, hopefully on the plains. Now, all that remains for me here is to say pretty much a nostalgic goodbye from the migration control. All of my friends here, they're not particularly vociferous, but they all greet you fondly and say goodbye. This guy here who helps with the lighting and the props, he also says goodbye. We have this art over here, my favorite. He also says goodbye, and of course I must just tell you that we are live every single day, twice a day. WildSafariLive.com is where you'll find us, and then on Periscope and on Facebook you will find us doing unscheduled broadcasts on Nature's Timetable whenever the action happens. So that's WildSafariLive.com, and then on Facebook and on Periscope. We will not see you again on TV in the Mara during this season, but we will be back on TV sometime during the Big Cat Week in early December. So that's very exciting to look forward to. Thank you very much for all of your questions and all of your contributions. It's been an absolute privilege and a pleasure. Let's head back out to the field now with Scott and the Lions.
Well, as the finale comes to an end, I don't think we could have asked for a better scene. All these cute cubs streaming towards us. And it's been an absolute pleasure having you guys join in on all the action. And we have loved sharing all these incredible moments with you. And like I said, what a fitting way to finish off what has been an incredibly memorable few months, having all these lions stream straight past us. It doesn't get much better than this, and there's still a lot more to come. Like James says, though, this is not the end of the Mara safari action. Even though the migrating herds are leaving, we are certainly not. Neither are these lions. And we will be sure to keep you guys updated. And we're going to learn more in the coming weeks about where they spend time. And we'll be able to spend probably more time getting to know them and understanding their movements, and that way being able to make sure we do a good job of getting you into pole position to make sure we don't miss out on any of the action. Magical, magical stuff. Look at how full their bellies are. Absolutely awesome. That one's getting bothered by some flies, it looks like. We will see you all on the next safaris.